And this whole Aaron Rodgers, Chicago reporter, is a political story. It's not a football story. He's only one reporter out of 50 people voting. Who gives a rip? And I do think my gut feeling is Aaron's probably going to win. And I don't like that the reporter made it personal and said, I wouldn't vote for him because he's a jerk. I think that's the wrong reason. But if you have 50 people voting on anything, we've got goofy senators and goofy governors. I mean, there's people have a lot of things, and it's all political today. But to prove that the Aaron Rodgers, if he doesn't win, is political, I'll prove it to you. Aaron had a better year last year. And 2 other quarterbacks got votes. And if Tom Brady would have won last year, would any of us been outraged in a pandemic? He goes to a brand new team and literally wins in his division. And by the way, beat Aaron in the regular season. And he also beat him in the postseason, but I wouldn't have been outraged by it. But we're outraged. Everybody's saying they're outraged. It's going to be out. The conservative clickmeisters, liberal media, vaccination. Well, actually, I can make an argument. Aaron, who had the second highest passer rating ever last year, was more deserving this year. And this year, I went this morning. I said, I'm not going to get into this political Chicago reporter Aaron Rodgers thing. And I went and looked at every stat. Joe Burrow should be MVP. He should be. Joe Burrow has less talent. He beats Aaron Rodgers in completion percentage. Aaron has fewer picks, touchdown passes the same. He gets more passing yards a game, over a yard more attempt. Again, the passer ratings are both. You get over 104, 105. They're both amazing. That's Aaron. But Joe has less talent, a younger roster. It's a losing franchise and a significantly tougher division. And in the biggest game for both teams out of division, it was Kansas City. Burrow was amazing. Aaron wasn't available. Burrow threw for 700 more yards. Higher completion percentage. Burrow leads the NFL with 15 touchdowns over 30 yards. 15. Aaron's got 2. Pro Football Focus, if we count everything. Joe Burrow's number 1. Aaron's number 4. If you're going to tell me, I always say this in college football, when Alabama lost to Texas A&M, I said, so what? You can't lose a road game in the SEC to a good program? Cincinnati played a bunch of nonsense. They met who was better. I'm not going to go on record solely whoever gets into the college football playoff, nor am I on the MVP. Aaron's in a crappy division. The Lions are 2 layups a year. The Bears were a mess this year, and the Vikings aren't very good, and they still beat Green Bay. Joe Burrow had to go up against the Steelers defense twice, the wildly talented Cleveland defense twice, which for most of the year was great, and Baltimore, when they were healthy, had a good defense. Burrow's also been sacked almost twice as much as Aaron Rodgers. He has a worse offensive line. And he beats him in virtually every category. Aaron doesn't throw the ball down the field as much, so he has fewer interceptions, but Aaron gets credit for that. And he has a slightly higher passer rating. And the clickmeisters will make this about politics. Aaron was better last year and didn't get 6 votes. And Burrow this year, I think, is an argument to be made is better than Mahomes was last year or Allen was last year. Listen, we all know this. It's tougher to be a millionaire if you grow up in a childhood of chaos than it is if your dad was rich or your mom was rich. We all know this. Cincinnati didn't even have an outdoor practice facility. They play in a tougher division. They had a tougher schedule. He had a brutal offensive line. And he beats Aaron in almost every category. It's not a political thing. Deep dive. And I know these days because of the phone, and I'm guilty of this too, every day when I get home, I usually take a 15-minute nap, get a coffee, and then I read for 90 minutes. And the reason I read is because with these phones, it's very easy for all of us to just read headlines. So I force myself to sit down. I go to 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 sports columnists around the country that I like. I go to websites I like that have real news, and I force myself every day to read for an hour and a half, sometimes 2. because I have that responsibility. I make enough mistakes as it is, but I want to be well-versed. And yesterday I'm looking at Burrow and Rodgers, because I said, I think Aaron's it, but Burrow's close. And then you go back and you consider everything, and you're like, yeah, one guy plays in a way better division against way better teams and way better defenses. And by the way, is Matt LaFleur a better coach than Zach Taylor? You can certainly make that argument. So Aaron's got a better coach and a better organization and a better front office and an easier division. And Joe Burrow beat him in almost everything. Well, the interceptions, congrats. But I've always said, what did I say about Mike Tomlin this week? I don't want you to use this to get into the Hall of Fame as a coach. I didn't suck much. What did you do? I'm not really going to give you an MVP because, he doesn't throw many interceptions. How many touchdowns? Do you throw the ball down the field? Do you have to overcome anything? That's why I said Brady last year didn't win the MVP, but nobody would have been outraged if he beat Aaron head-to-head. He had all new pieces, all new coaching. He walked into the wrong house when he moved into Tampa. He didn't even know how the hell to get to work. It's like it's what you overcome, not just numbers. And we know it's not just numbers. And if it was, Burrow would win, because the two greatest quarterback years in the history of the sport are Brady and Manning, and they didn't win unanimously. So this is a political thing. The Clickmeisters will be out there saying it's about the vaccination. And I don't like that reporter's reason for not voting for him. That's nonsense. If you don't, whatever. But I do think it matters that in the biggest game on the NFL schedule this year, forget vaccination, no vaccination. It was Green Bay, Kansas City was our circle game. We all talked that was the Super Bowl. Aaron wasn't available. Oh, Burrow was when they played him and was unbelievable. Was against a red-hot Chiefs defense. He tore it apart. I think if you're honest and get out of the politics and the nonsense, I think there's an absolute argument to be made. Burrow's the MVP. And by the way, this is not an anti-Aaron thing. The cheeseheads believe everybody's against them. No, we're not. I have defended Aaron on this. I've defended Aaron a million times. But I'm not a house guy. I don't wave a pom-pom. I don't wear a cheese hat. And if you live in Green Bay, that's what you want. You want the constant praise. Aaron's worthy of occasional criticism. He can be a little needy. He's great, but he's a little needy. But I think if you really are totally honest and take all the nonsense about vax and non-vax, I don't care. It's just, again, get vaxxed, boosted. I've been both. I have friends who haven't. Whatevs. I don't hang out and breathe on them, but, whatevs. It's not a mandate. Cole Beasley, fine receiver. If I'm Buffalo, I'd rather have Cole Beasley on my team than not, and he's unvaccinated. I'd rather have him on my team than not. But if you dig deep and you talk about what you overcome, Burrow, by the way, is also coming off a brutal injury. And we all know in the NBA MVP and the football MVP, it's a story too. There's a story quality to it. It's not just raw numbers. The story of Burrow's better. We don't even know if Zach Taylor's a great coach. The division's better. His support's worse. And he beats Aaron at virtually everything. That said, the Chicago reporter is wrong. I don't think Aaron's a jerk. I think he's complex, and I don't think that's a reason not to vote for somebody.